Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 17 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're learning how to think like an engineer using the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons, and in this class we will be using the Sunfounder Elite Explorer Kit. Now most of you guys probably already have your gear, but if you don't, look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon. You can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot easier if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave in lesson number 16. But I must first ask, were you successful? If you were successful, leave a comment down below. I am legend. Double chest bump. If you are not successful, leave a comment down below. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Okay, hopefully most of you guys were successful, because I hope you see what I'm trying to do in the homework is give you a homework assignment that draws on those skills that we learned in earlier lessons. So I'm trying to reinforce those things that we learned earlier on so they really become part of your toolkit. You really understand the things that you're able to do on the Arduino. So hopefully you guys were able to do it. What was the assignment? You were to make a circuit with 3 LEDs, a red LED, a yellow LED, and a green LED, and then you were supposed to turn the LEDs on or off based on input from the user. So you would ask the user, what color do you want? If he says red, you turn the red LED on. If he asks for yellow, you turn the yellow LED on, so forth. Okay, hopefully most of you guys were successful. But let's jump on over here and let's get me out of your way. And then let's take a look here. What you're going to need are the 3 LED, green, yellow, and red, and you're going to need 3 1000 ohm current limiting resistors. Again, on these resistors, I use a little set of pliers to cut those long legs off so my build stays a little bit neater. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug my LED in, and in all cases, I'm going to put the long leg of the LED pointed upwards, pointed towards the top of the breadboard. And I always like to just kind of leave a blank row. Okay, do you see how I leave a blank, I guess that's a column, a blank column between the pins, just to give it a little bit more space. Now I'm going to come in, same thing. The long leg of the LED is going to be pointed up. I have skipped a column between the pins. Do you see what I mean by skipping a column? I don't try to jam them in closer than that. And then finally, we're going to come down to the red. Okay, and so the red is there. In all cases, the long leg of the LED is pointed towards the top there. Okay, so I've got my 3 LED. What I want to do now is I don't want to run a line from each one down to ground. So I'm just going to run that through the resistor, but I'm going to start by creating my ground rail. So I'm going to put my black wire in this bottom row, and we know all of those holes in that bottom row, are connected. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to plug that into GND. And so now what do I know? I know that this entire bottom row, is ground. So now what I want to do is I want to go from the short leg of the LED down to ground. And so I'm going to come over to the short leg of the LED. It's hard for me to get this. It's hard for me to get this where both you and I can easily see it at the same time. So I'm making sure you can see it. So that wire is going into the short leg. Maybe I should start down here at the ground. Okay, so I got one leg at the ground, and then I've got one leg going to the short leg of the green LED. Very nice. Short leg of the green LED going to the current limiting resistor, which goes to ground. And so hopefully this one will go a little easier. So I'm going to go there, ground rail, up to the short leg of the yellow LED. That's looking good. And now I'm going to go from the ground to the short leg of the red LED, like that. Okay. I think that is very neat. Now I need to come over from those long legs, and I need to connect them to these digital pins. And I'm just going to try to go in order. Now, I didn't give you an assignment to control the brightness, but I'm going to use 3 of the PWM pins just in case later on we wanted to set the brightness. And so I'm going to start with the green. And the other thing I should say that I like to do, if I can at all, I like to kind of color code my wires. And so I'm going to start with the green LED, and the long leg of the green LED, I'm going to use a green wire, and I am going to come over and I am going to connect that to pin 11. Why? Pin 11 is a PWM, and I've got 3 in a row, 11, 10, 9. So the green is going to go to 11, and I'm going to check that because, yeah, you see the green one's going to 11. And now what do I have? The long leg of the yellow LED, and with the yellow wire, I will come over to pin 10. Okay, you see pin 10. And now what do I have? I have the long leg of the red LED, the long leg of the red LED, and I'm going to come over to pin 9. Okay, so you see I've got 11, 10, 9, and then I come over. Let's see if we can get this a little bit neater. And then through a yellow wire, or through a green wire, a yellow wire, and a red wire, I come over, and then I go through the current limiting resistors. I go through the current limiting resistors down to ground. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit there. Okay, so you can see that pretty good. Now let's come over to our code view. I think we're ready to start coding this thing up. So let's see, what variables are we going to want to use here? First of all, I should say we're starting with bare minimum. So you would fire up your IDE, you would come over and you would say examples, basic, and you're going to go to bare minimum, open that, and then we want to make sure the board is connected. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to go down to the port, and you can see that my board is connected to COM 5. You would connect to whatever COM your board is connected to, and it's very likely you might not be on 5, you might be on something else. And let's make sure we have the right board selected, the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. That's Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. That all looks good. So I think we're ready to start coding. So we have got 3 LEDs. We've got 3 LEDs, so let's set up 3 pins. Those are going to be integers. So I'm going to say red, or let's go in order, green pin, and that is going to be equal to, what was that? I started with 11. Let's check that and make sure. Yeah, it's on 11. Now, do you see, when I had to go check, do you see how nice it was that the green wire was going to the green? So I could just look and I could see the green wire was going into pin 11 like we wanted. So that is pin 11. Then what do we have? We have int, and we've got yellow pin, and that's going to be equal to pin 10. And then I've got int, and then I have got red pin, and that was equal to pin 9, I do believe. Okay, so we have those set up. Now I'm going to get the user input. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a string in. So I'm going to need a string variable, and then what I'm going to call that is, that's user color. That's the color that the user wants. I'm not going to set that anything because I will be reading that. We're going to use the serial monitor. So let's go ahead and set a baud rate. BR is going to be equal to 9600. You guys, you can use 115-200 if you want. You can use one of the other ones. You've just got to make sure the serial monitor is set to the same baud that your program is set at. Very important. Since we're going to be each time reading a value, I don't think that I need to put a delay in there. So that's a pretty good set of variables to get started with. Now we're going to be using the serial monitor, so we need to start at serial.begin. What do we want to use? What do we want to use? 9600. No. What do? We use the variable that we set up, BR, okay, for baud rate. Put in our semicolon. Now we've got to do our pin mode. So we're going to do pin mode. And then what are we going to do? Green pin. And that is going to be an output like that. Okay. Do you see how I like to do things in order? You see how I like to try to stay organized? I've got green, I've got yellow, I've got red. I've got a green wire, I've got a yellow wire, I've got a red wire. When I do my variables, I go green, yellow, red. Now I'm doing my pin modes, I'm going to do green, yellow, red. I try to keep things as logically organized as I can because it makes it a lot easier later on if we have to do some troubleshooting. Okay, now let's just keep going here. Pin mode of what? Yellow pin, okay, and that's going to be an output. Also, notice how we use the same convention. We use the same convention in how we name things. So, like, I didn't call this yellow LED, okay, or I didn't call this, I didn't call this yellow light, okay. You can do whatever you want, but once you kind of set it in, if I'm going to say green pin, then I'm going to say yellow pin and red pin. If I was going to instead say green LED, then I would say yellow LED and red LED. Be consistent in kind of how you're naming these variables, and your life will be a whole lot easier. So now we're going to go yellow pin like that. Okay, now we're going to come down pin mode, and then we're going to do what? Blue. No, not blue pin. We know it's red pin. Blues are only for special occasion. Red pin, and then that's going to be an output. So now we have the serial monitors started, and we have our pin modes done. We are doing really good. Now we need input from the user. To get input from the user, we have to do three things. What three things do we have to do? Ask, wait, read. And I think I'll be a good boy and make my prompt up here a string. And I'm going to say the string is going to be what were we going to call that? String user prompt. User prompt like that. And what that's going to be is please indicate, let's see, please enter color. Okay, and then I'm going to say red, I'll even say it this way, red, I'm going to go green, green, yellow, or red. Okay, again, I'm just trying to always go in the same order, okay, and then put our semicolon in. So that's my prompt. Now I'm going to come down here. I want to get from the user what color he wants. What do I have to do? I have to ask, and I'm going to do a serial.println. And what am I going to print? I'm going to print user prompt like that. Now what do? I wait. So while serial.avail, you know what happens when I say serial, my iPad thinks I said Siri, and then it starts listening, and I'm finding that quite annoying. I wish I could just make Siri go away. Okay, so we've got serial.available. Okay, serial.available, open, close, while that is equal to 0, right? No, it's a conditional. It's a what? It's an equal. Anytime we're asking it, is serial.available, is it 0? You have to do an equal. If you want to set something, you just use a 1 equal. If you're asking what it is, or it's condition in a conditional, it's always the old double equal. Okay, so now I'm going to open my curly, and then it closes the curly for me. What do I do in this loop? Absolutely nothing. It just sits in loops and waits. So I've got an open and I've got a close curly, and then this curly closes the void loop. Just want to make sure everything's okay, and I'm going to take that blank space out, right? So now I've asked, I've waited, now what do? I read. What did we call that silly variable? We called it user color. So user color is going to be a serial dot parse float. No, not a parse float. We're reading a what? We are reading a string. So we're going to say serial dot read string, like that. Okay, serial dot read string, and we've got to tell it where we are. No, we don't. We don't have to tell it. It just reads it from the serial monitor. So user color is equal serial dot read string, like that. That looks good. Now what do we have to do? We've got to figure out what we asked for. We got to figure out what we asked for. You know. So let's see. So let's say if. And then we always put the conditional inside of the parentheses. We put the conditional inside the parentheses. So we say if user color equal what? Okay, equal. Man, give me a couple of equals here, man. Equal red. Okay, if that, then what am I going to do? Then I'm going to do a digital write. And you know what? Let's keep going in order. So I'm going to say if user color is green, then I'm going to digital write where green pen, and it's going to be what? High, like that. Okay. Now let me ask you right here, tell me a problem with this. If user color equal green, well, what if he puts an uppercase G? Or what if he makes everything uppercase? So what did we learn last week that we really want to do? We want to take that user color and we want to dot to lower case, like that. And that takes it however they put it in, uppercase, lowercase, and it changes it to lowercase. And then I just compare it to lowercase, and that should work. So that's the first one. So then if user color equal yellow, okay, I don't have to set it lowercase again because I already did it. I just do it once and then I see what it is. What do? I open my curly, I come down, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to do a digital write. And then which pen? Yellow pen, and it's going to be a high, like that. Okay, that looks good. And now if user color equal what? Red. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to open my curly, come down, and then I'm going to do a digital write, and then I'm going to write red pen. I'm going to write it high, like that. Okay, now I want you guys, okay, so let's first of all look and make sure. So this closes the if, that's right. This closes the yellow if, that's right. This closes the green if, that's right. And then what does this bottom one do? That bottom one closes the void loop. So it really looks like that I've got my curlies all balanced out. That's good. And so if I type in red, whatever case it is, it'll turn red. If I type in yellow, it'll turn yellow. If I type in green, it'll turn green. But you guys tell me kind of a logical error I have here. What is something that isn't really good? Okay, what's not really good is I'm never turning the LEDs off. And so if I say, what color do you want? And I say red, and then next time, what color do you want? And I say green, what's going to happen? The red's still going to be on from the last time. I'm going to have red and green. So in each one of these, if I ask for red, I better also do what? Digital write, what? Red pen, and it needs to be low, like that, all right? And then digital write yellow pen, and it is going to be low, like that. Okay, I hate those pop-up things. And so I've got green, and really I like to keep things in order. So I'm going to cut that one. Okay. And then I am going to paste it there. So green, yellow, red. And it's going to be high, low, low. Well, really, I want to set, so each time I want to be deliberate. You say, well, what if you hadn't turned yellow on? It's okay. If it's off, I can still turn it off. All right. So each time I want to set each one. So I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them inside of the yellow. Okay, inside of the yellow if statement. Only this time green is going to be what? It is going to be low. And yellow is going to be what? Yellow is going to be high. And then red is going to be low. Now let's come into the red one and let's do the same thing. I'm going to paste all three of them and then I'll just make them right. So if it's red, green is going to be low and yellow is going to be low and then red is going to be what? High, like that. And then it comes back and asks you again for what you want. Does that make sense? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to come in and I'm going to run this. What is that? Ugly orange business. Ugly orange business. What is that? Pin mode, red put, pin output. What did we forget? Our friend Mr. Semicolon. Did you guys yell at me when I did that? I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that. Okay, let's run it. What is it not like? What is this orange? BR does not name a type. I thought I defined BR. What did I do here? I said BR is 9600, but I didn't tell it it was an int. Okay. Guys, why do I make mistakes? Because you guys that are new, sometimes you panic when it doesn't work. And what you got to see is if it doesn't work, it's just you made a mistake. Go look, find your mistake. All right, so now I really think it's going to work this time. Oh, now that one. Okay. So where was that? Pin mode, serial.begin. Oh, look at this. Look at this. What is this? This opens the void setup. And this what? Closes the void setup. I didn't what? I didn't put these commands inside the void setup. So what do I need to do? I need to take that out. Okay, and then I need to end the void setup after. I need to end the void setup after I put those commands in. Okay, like that. Now what I want you to see is look at the strange error message it got. It says, okay, it was if user color equal green. Okay, it was way down here that I had the problem. And I've got another problem here too. What did I not do? I didn't put my semicolon there. So I had several problems in there. Okay. But this one was saying that it didn't have the semicolon after the token. Okay, so you can sort of see what that was. Okay, so now we're going to come in. We're going to run this thing. Man, what is this? While. It doesn't like my while loop. Oh, look at that. No semicolon. Okay. So what I wanted to do there is I wanted to show you it's complaining about the while here and it exits. Okay. But the error is not here. The error was on the line before it. So sometimes it'll say something's wrong with that while loop and you look and say, it sure looks right. It sure looks right. Well, it might be the line before it that you had the error. Okay. So let's run it. It's going to run this time. Look at that. Look at that. Downloading. It's looking good. Okay. Now we turn on the serial monitor up here. Okay. And now it sent that prompt before the serial monitor was on. So I'm going to have to click the little button to have it run the program again. And now it is asking me. And now I am going to say RED and boom, look at that. We have the red LED turned on. Now let's try green, okay? What do I like? The green LED turned on, okay? What also do I like? I like the red turned off when I selected green. Now what do I want? I want yellow, Okay, and when I do that, the yellow comes on. I do like that. And let me just look up here. I did the green pin output, yellow pin output, red pin output. That all looks good. Just wanted to make sure. That all looks good. Now let's say that let me try this. Watch this. I'm going to put uppercase Y, E, uppercase L, lowercase L, O, uppercase W, and let's see. I click enter and it goes yellow. I guess I should do R, E, D like that. Crazy case. And boom, it works. All right, guys. So do you see how we're getting more and more comfortable with the Arduino? What do we know how to do? We know how to do digital writes. We know how to do analog writes. We know how to do delays. We know how to get input from the user. We know how to print to the serial monitor. We know how to declare variables. We know about integers, floats, and strings. Okay, so we have learned quite a bit. And what did we learn today? We learned more about using if statements, and we learned more about using conditionals. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so we've learned a little bit about if statements. Again, what I like to do is I like to give you a homework. Okay, so this time, what I want you to do for your homework is leave this circuit hooked up the way it is. But this time I want you to ask the user 2 questions. What LED do you want? And then number 2, what brightness do you want? And then you turn that LED, that brightness, and then it goes back to the top, and then it asks you again, one at a time, for which LED and how much brightness. And that is your homework. When you do your homework, make a short video of it. It can be just like 1 minute long. Post the video to YouTube showing your code and showing it working. And then in the description of your homework solution in that video, link back to this video. Right, link back to this video, and then in this video, in the comments down below, link over to your homework solution, and I will hop on over there and take a look at your solution. So that's your homework assignment, is to expand this where you're not just turning an LED on and off, but you're also setting its brightness, if that makes sense. Okay, so every lesson we like to learn a little bit of software, a little bit of programming, and then next week what we're going to learn is we're going to learn a new component. We're going to get a different component out. So we're going to be going back and forth between learning something new in programming, learning something new in hardware, programming hardware. So we try to kind of keep it interesting and shake it up a little bit. Okay, guys, I hope you're having as much fun taking these classes as I am making them. I want to always give a shout out to you guys who are standing with me on Patreon. It is your support and your encouragement that is keeping this great content coming. You can also help me by giving me a thumbs up or leaving a comment down below. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, when you do, make sure you ring that bell so you get notifications when future lessons drop. And most importantly, share this video with other people, because the world needs more people thinking like an engineer and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.